Hi, good everyone, and welcome to my the bulk challenge. So I posted a question not too long on my Instagram, and the question was very simple. I was asking a question: why is it that event handlers do not trigger events recursively, or they do not trigger events on an infinite loop? And not everybody seems to know or even understand the question. I've been getting lots of mixed answers, and funny enough, the answer to this question unlocked a Google AdSense or unlocked the way to bypass Google AdSense detection. But before I go into that, I'll just simply tell you what I meant. Now, I've commented every single thing on this code, so you'll be able to see just two things. This function I created is a very simple function. The function is called btn2, and this btn2 is just like button2, but we just shorten it to btn2. Now, this function just does two things. Just two things. It only does two things. The first one is to say the button 2 has been clicked. And the second one, or the second thing it does, is to call the button again, right? So, whenever you call this button function, it would say the button has been clicked and to call itself again. And when you call itself again, to say the button has been clicked, to call itself again. So, it's more like an infinite loop, right? So, in order for us to start this loop, let us start the first click on button 2. So we're not actually clicking it, or let's just say let us start the button 2 with code. Okay, so let us start the button 2 with code. So what I'm simply going to do here is I'm using this to show you an example. I'm going to come here and I will type btn, which is the button, btn, which is button 2. um I'm initiating the function. That means I'm calling the function, and I'm going to save this. Now, what I've simply just done in a nutshell is I created a function called button2. The function does nothing but echo that button2 has been clicked, after which it calls button2 again. Now, that is what this function simply just do. Now, below here, I started the button2 with code, which is this button2 function btn2. I started it with code. That means I initiated it here, initial initiation, or I'm starting it here. So why I called it, it will just start, say it has been clicked, call itself again. So basically, I'm starting up this infinite loop that will never end here. By calling it here, it would say this, call itself again, say this, call itself again, say this. You get it infinitely. So I'm going to click on save. Okay, it's saved now. I want to pay attention to my Google console or my console here, my console tab. I'm going to refresh this page and you're going to see something. Now you can see that it is infinitely, it is coming up, it is telling me button 2 has been clicked, button 2. I mean, this shit can actually make my computer freeze because it's going to be doing this infinitely. You can see it has said it like 4,000 times, 5,000 times, 6,000 times, 7,000 times. You get the check. Let me stop it before my computer starts running temperature. But what I'm trying to say is, while it says this button has been clicked, it will call itself again, and continuously, because as it calls itself again, it will say it has been clicked continuously over and over and over and over again. Now I'm going to comment this function, and I can hear my computer fans already. Okay, so let me refresh. Uh, okay, I've gotten to that point where my computer is not going to respond again. Okay, so I'm going to hold Control Alt, Control Shift and arrow to have a hard reset. It's still not working. I've gotten my system frozen up. Okay, so it's actually an infinite loop running. So I think because of that, can't go anywhere. Okay, good. So I'm going to close this other tab. Fantastic. Okay, so if I refresh the page now, you're not going to see anything. That's because I've commented that loop, like this infinite loop that says say button 2 has been clicked, and then click it again. So what I'm going to do right now is to just delete this entirely. I'm going to delete this one entirely. I don't want us to ever make a mistake to actually look at that. So I'm going to delete it entirely. Now, this was the original question I asked on my Instagram. By the way, my Instagram is official than okay. I'm going to put the handle on the video description. Now, I want us to get back to this initial question. This was the question I asked on Instagram. The question was, why is it that what happened on functions doesn't happen with event triggerers? So for instance, I added this event handler to my click button. If you look here, this h2 tag has an ID of btn1, right? it has this idea of btn1. So what I said was, whenever btn1 is being clicked, okay, so whenever we click on this btn1, which happens to have a text called button1, this is it. Whenever we click on it, all I want us to do is to say the button 1 has been clicked, right? And then just like the function, we should now click on it again with code. Now, to click on something with a code, just get the ID of whatever that thing is and append a dot click to it. So while at the beginning I started up this whole process by saying I want to, this button 1, I want to click on it. So this one actually clicked on it, right? So button 1 dot clicked on this button with JavaScript code, and while it was clicked, the button 1 has been clicked was echoed. Now you'll be expecting this button 1 to be clicked again. So while this one is being clicked again, it will come and say this button 1 has been clicked. It will come again, click again, this button 1 has been clicked, click again, this button 1 has been clicked, click again, this button 1 like it's going to basically be in an infinite loop, just the same way it was with what is it called again, with those functions. So that's what you're going to be expecting, right? But now the moment I refresh this page, you're expecting to see so much this button 1 has been clicked here, but you're not seeing anything. So what's the difference? Why is it that when a function is being told to call itself, it will keep calling itself like infinitely, recursively? However, when an event handler, is being told to trigger itself, it doesn't do anything when you tell it to trigger itself. If you tell an event handler to trigger itself, it won't trigger itself. Okay, like right now I told it to click at the first time, and it did click, and just after saying it has click, I'm telling it to click again, but it can't click itself. So that was the question. Why is it not clicking itself? Why can't an event why can't we trigger an event that the handler can recursively keep doing the same thing? Like I'm saying click button 1, and then inside the button 1 handler, it's going to tell us button 1 has been clicked, and it will in return click on button 1 again, that will in return say it has been clicked, and the cycle resumes, or continues rather. But it's not like that. All it does is to do it once. And that was the question, and no one has actually been able to even answer this question. So if you're a software programmer, you're following up my Instagram, you probably get to learn certain things. Okay, the first thing I would state right here is any event, right? This is now talking about how I got to learn most of these things. I created a bot, the first AdSense bot that cannot be detected. Like I've created softwares that currently with the current technology, you cannot differentiate those bots from real human beings, and that is because there are certain things that when you write a bot, there are certain things that the bot does that it doesn't really do it like a human being, and codes can be able to tell. So I'm going to teach you what is really happening. First of all, I've showed you the question. This is the question that I asked on my Instagram. Why is it that when you click on something and the event handler of that thing has a click event, I'll click on that thing again? It doesn't just happen recursively, and nobody has been able to answer the question. So the simple answer is this: anything that a code clicks, okay, is already assumed as fake in a way. I don't know how to tell you, but basically, if I click on something right now on my website, this is a genuine click. If I use a code to click on it, it's a fake click. We all know that, but the thing is, this particular Google Chrome also knows it's a fake click. So let me explain more. I'm going to start with deleting this click, right? What this thing simply does is it will tell you start the first click on button 1. So it was just whenever the code runs, click on button 1, and button 1 will now say button 1 has been clicked, and we're not expecting button 1 to be click again and see say button 1 has been clicked and then click again and button 1 has been just like that recursively, but it doesn't happen. So if I refresh this page, you see that it only clicks on it once and then nothing happens anymore. So now I'm going to delete this whole line, and I'm going to save this. I've saved it, right? Now I am going to hit refresh. Nothing is going to happen, because if you notice, it only says whenever button 1, which is this button 1, this tag h2 tag, whenever it's been clicked, I want us to say button 1 has been clicked, and I want us to click again. Now we have two kinds of click. We have authentic click. Authentic click can trigger anything, any validation, any verification. Why a cold click is just still a click, but it's not a real click, right? So it cannot trigger any action within itself. Let me explain. Now I'm gonna use authentic click. Authentic click is when I use my mouse. So this is my mouse. I'm gonna use this mouse right now to click. And now watch my cursor log. The moment I click on button 1, now it is doing something. I don't know if you notice it. This first one was clicked by my mouse, right? If you notice, it says when I click on something, so you should say button 1 has been clicked. So the first time I clicked on this, that was when it says button 1 has been clicked. Now the second time was this one, because after it says button 1 has been clicked, it will come here and load the script. Now if I use code to click on this thing, it won't be able to load the script, because clicking with code is fake click. So fake click cannot trigger a click on itself, but a real click can trigger a click on itself. So for instance, let me refresh. For instance, if I use fake click, right? If I say, oh, whatever this thing is, this is it, right? This is this button. I want to come here. Let's make fake click, okay? And then I put in a click here, button 1. Now I'm using JavaScript to click on this. This click now can only work. It can only launch the handler once, but it cannot trigger any event or dispatch any event here. So if I refresh this page, you only see it happen once. That is because it's a fake click, okay? To actually verify, so somebody don't think I'm making this up, so you don't think I'm making it up. To know if something is real or false, okay? If a click is genuine or if a click is false, you can use the word is trusted. Is trusted. So I'll come here and say, is the click, okay? Is the click genuine, then a comma, okay? Now I'm going to add a comma, so I'll be able to tell you what if it's real or not. I will now use evt. This is invent, which is this evt dot is, I think this is how it's been spelled, is trusted, right? So let me confirm. If I refresh this page, thank you, you're going to see false. The button 1 has been clicked. Is the click genuine? I don't think this is spelling of genuine. No, that just is real. Good. No, let's use the word human, making more sense. Is the click human? Okay. Is the click human? False. The click is not human. Why? Because we inspired that click with this bot, right? Now I want to take this shit off now. I want to take out this bot click off, and I want you to see something. Now remember what I told you guys. A click that has been generated by code or scripts cannot trigger further events within itself. This is why if you create a bot that does clicking by itself using a dot click, maybe on Puppeteer, or using a dot click, maybe you have a website, you wrote a script that will help you click on your own advertisement, or that will help you click on those Google ads, your AdSense account will get banned. Google would ban your account. They will suspend it. There's no two ways. That's because you're actually doing something that they can treat. They will let you do it normally, because it's a one-time thing. It's not like you're doing it recursively. If you had tried to do it recursively, you know that it won't work. But they have ways of checking it, and the way they check it is using something called invent.isTrusted. So I'm actually coming now. I will go further. So let me refresh this page. Now you can see nothing is showing, right? Now I'm going to click with my mouse, original click, right? And the moment I click with my mouse, it's going to launch this handler, tell me something has been clicked. It will not tell me if it's human. After which this second one will launch. It will tell you this second one is not human. But when the second one comes here, it won't be able to fire this stuff. It can't fire it. That means it can't run it, and it can't basically run it because clicks that generate a handler, or when you use code to click on something, that particular handler that handles that event that you, or that particular handler that click event cannot, click on itself. So I don't know how to explain it, but I think let me run this code first of all, then I will explain more. So I'm going to click on button one. Now you're going to see something. Button one has been clicked. Is the click human? True, because I used the mouse, right? And the second one says false, because after it said true, the second one kicked off, which is this one. But remember, that one is not human, so normally that one doesn't have the power to click again by itself. In other words, on function you can simply say that, like the first example we did, we said we called something function 2. We now said, okay, function 2 should say function but sorry, we created something called button 2. We now said button 2 should say button 2 has been clicked, then it calls itself again, and then it say button 2, like recursively. It happens infinitely. But once you say, or once you try to do this with code, it will only launch once, and that's because code don't have a whole lot of authenticity. Like if you use if is trusted to tell you that this is false. So this is how Google is able to detect fake click and real click. But that's just a tip of an iceberg. There's so many other things inside that I would want to explain. Okay, so the aim of the question wasn't to tell you if this is recursively, or how can I make it to be happen infinitely. I can actually do this with a set timeout and it will work perfectly fine. If something else calls it, okay, let me show you an example. Let's say something like set timeout. Okay, set timeout. Let me say 2 seconds. Okay, okay, let me log this first of all. Timed out. Okay, and after which I want to click on this button. Okay, now this will go perfectly fine, so I can okay, good. So now I think this 2 seconds is too long. 1 second. Okay, now watch. Immediately it comes up. It's gonna be coming up automatically. Like now, that this is basically what we wanted to achieve, right? We have done this with timeout. So the question is, why is it possible? You cannot. No, the question is not why is it possible to do to timeout. So obviously it's possible to do to timeout. If I actually reduce this timeout to 100 seconds, it could give us that illusion of that is, it's like the other one, but that's not. It's not it. So my question that I shared on my Instagram is, why is it that if we just take out this click button alone, like let's take it out of a timeout and we just put it here, the way we would put it in a function. If this was a function, this is how it's going to be, and then we'll run it. Okay, and then it's telling me syntax error. How fast can I find what the syntax error is? Okay, I think I can sense it here. I'm not too sure. Why do I feel so? Click here. Yeah, click here. Okay, good. I think I'm correct. Okay, refresh. It's only going to show us once. So why is it not clicking by itself? It's simple. It's simply because whatever triggers an action or whatever triggers an event, has the metadata, content on what triggers an event. If an event is being triggered by an event handler, right, it won't work. Okay, especially if that event handler is the same thing as what is handling that event. Let me give you a more better example. I'm going to create a second one. Okay, and I'm going to call this one button 2, and I'm going to come here and put this one to be button 2. So I now have a button 2, right? And I'm going to do something very weird, and I can swear to God, if you pause this video, don't tell any programmer you know of. Just give them this. They'll be fucked up. They won't be able to predict what will happen, except they are very